right, you all. Welcome back. Welcome back to your class with yours truly, the counselor, your domestic violence counselor, Mr. James Horton. Thank you for showing up one more time. Gonna delve off in a bigger, broader, somewhat bigger picture focus group tonight, and it's going to be slightly different than usual, but it was the need to create this particular thing here, this particular topic, and thank you for riding along. So strap your seatbelts in. All right. This paper is going to be called Domestic Violence Warning Signs. Really? We're talking about warning signs, domestic warning signs. It's okay? It says, what are domestic violence warning signs? Signs are signals or alerts warning us of a potential threat before or after getting in a domestic violence relationship, right? A relationship can be not just with an intimate partner. A relationship could be with a job, an organization, a relationship with a neighborhood, your neighbors, and just people walking around just your environment that you may not even be paying attention to, but you see a lot, or you see somewhat. You know, something is peculiar about them, and I just want to open you all up to pay attention, all right? Warning signs are red flags like the tone of someone's voice, their choice of words, body language, facial expressions, threats, telling someone what to wear, monitoring someone's cell phone, and finances. Verbal and physical abuse, all and many more are violent, abusive warning signs, and ask yourself questions, all right? Just strap on and ask yourself questions, all right? We are encountering some wake-up calls. And like when I say warning signs and when I say pay attention, and I suggest that we all pay attention, especially in many of the minority groups, Black, Hispanic, whatever, you know, because there's some powers going on. And people often describe it as race, and people often are in denial about race. And race is not just the color, but it's the where you are on the track of the race. You know, what position you're in. And if you seem to be catching up or surpassing your opponents in that race, it could be dangerous for you. It can be very dangerous, right? So we have, there's some groups out here that we must be aware of. We must take a look at and open our eyes, and sometimes clean our bifocals off or our glasses off and get the right view of what's happening, right? We have groups that have the power to cause havoc around the world. We have groups that cause havoc even in our state legislation, in the White House, in the government. And their powers beyond powers, and we've seen it lately in our latest coverage in Washington. And so we have other groups, though. We have other groups and that have come on in and done different stuff. The groups, one group is called the County of Kings. Under the name of Posey Comatotus Associations, the Counties of Kings, right? And these counties and these groups, they have the power to deputize people, deputize normal citizens even. And as they deputize normal citizens, you know, people that have a right to carry guns or give themselves a right to carry guns, and they put them on assignments. You would never know the individuals that are deputized. You know, some of them just look like, hey, they work for, you know, a certain place, and some of them may even possess a badge they can pull out. And but they just go on. They're normal people, and construction workers, plumbers, roofers, and it just goes on. So we don't know, at a spur of the moment who can show up to your house, who can cause problems in your home, in your schools and whatever. And these people are actually deputized. So when they do something, you would think, they're going to be held accountable, but not really. Most officers and most deputy affiliates are not held responsible for the acts they do, right? So they have this, as I say, posi comitatus, right? You can look it up. It's been going around, and many of the groups that's very similar to it have been going around even from slavery days, when you would see the slave catchers and the people that would get hired to go around catching slaves or any black that was out of place, and doing mischief. It wasn't even runaway slaves. They were actually free people. Many times there were free people who were captured and brought into slavery that were never slaves, never born slaves. And so we have the same kind of behavior, people taking the law into their own hands, right? We have groups and people, like I'm going to name a few, and we'll see some coverage on it, as we carry on. The Oklahoma the Oklahoma City bombing, who had Timothy McVeigh. Timothy McVeigh was actually 24 years old at the time of the bombing, when he bombed the federal building, right? Then you have Dylan Roof, a 21-year-old Nazi who killed 9 people in a black church in South Carolina. You guys remember that? Devastating, still affecting people. And it's like, hey, wow, you would think, do we need to have some security at the door, armed security at the door, when we go to church now? Or can we just depend solely on God? So, that's for each his own, okay? All right, then we have James Harris Jackson. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. You may have seen him. I've seen him, on a few news breaks, and I've gone on YouTube even to bring the story back up for this particular video. His name is James Harris Jackson. He stabbed an elderly black homeless man to death several times in the chest with a sword near Times Square in New York. This guy just went up. He had, nice business clothes on and everything, nice dress shoes for the office. And he just went up to this guy. The guy was looking for cans in his garbage can. And wow, it just stabbed him in the death cold and turned himself in. And you would wonder why. Well, one of the reasons that I'll tell you that my belief is being part of the County of Kings in the Posi Comitatus Associations, right? Being a member of that group will get you out of some stuff, because they also, and you'll see as we go on more with the video, you'll see the different groups going into different places and even taking pictures and video pictures and videos and stuff about their actions, and not having a worry in the world like my people would have if we were to do something of a sort. All right? So, yeah. A lot of things. So we're going to move on to some of our coverage.
Lockdown while law enforcement tried to regain control. Tear gas was fired outside the building to disperse the crowd, and both chambers were empty. Vice President Mike Pence was rushed to safety. The vice president later tweeted, "The violence and destruction taking place at the U.S. Capitol must stop, and it must stop now." House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who supports congressional efforts to challenge the election's outcome, described hearing gunshots and condemned the violence as unacceptable. A D.C. law enforcement official said at least one person had been shot. An extraordinary sight inside the House chamber, police drawing their guns while protesters tried to force their way inside. Demonstrators could be seen occupying the dais. Another image showed a protester inside House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office. All 1,100 members of the D.C. National Guard were activated. In addition, Virginia and Maryland called up their National Guardsmen to help reinforce the Capitol. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser imposed a 6 p.m. curfew. In Wilmington, Delaware, President-elect Biden condemned the violence.
What we're seeing.
This is 28-year-old James Harris Jackson, a military veteran from Baltimore. He's charged with fatally stabbing a homeless man, 66-year-old Timothy Kaufman. Harris Jackson turned himself in around midnight at this Times Square substation where he had 2 knives on him, but not the murder weapon.
For that reason, of all reasons, because he was black.
Michael Shakur, Kaufman's neighbor at the homeless shelter, was stunned after hearing that's the reason the suspect gave police.
He was very forthcoming with us. He knew what he was doing when he was coming up here.
Police say Harris Jackson has been staying at a Midtown hotel. He took a bus to New York from Baltimore on Friday. You can see police parked outside that home this afternoon. This surveillance video shows him running off in the area of West 36th and 9th after allegedly stabbing Kaufman multiple times around 11:30 Monday night. Police say Kaufman went around the corner to the local precinct for help. They took him to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Shakur says there's one thing he will remember about Kaufman that makes him smile.
He didn't stay still long enough. He was collecting his cane.
Collecting cans and taking pictures of celebrities like Oprah Winfrey.
I can't wrap my head around why this thing is happening.
Neither can this business owner who arrived at his restaurant to a crime scene on Tuesday morning.
Thank God he's off the streets.
To the crime.
What do you have to say?
This morning, law enforcement sources are telling ABC News that the 21-year-old who reportedly wanted to start a race war has confessed, telling police he murdered a Bible group at this black church, cooperating with their investigation. Police are thanking a woman in North Carolina who recognized his face from the police surveillance photos on television. Debbie Dills was on her way to work at a florist and followed his car herself for 25 miles.
I didn't want to believe that he would be, up here. Why would he be up here? Then I seen his head, and I seen the haircut the young man had, and it was that bowl cut.
The young man in the bowl cut is seen on surveillance video around 8 p.m. walking into this Bible study at Emmanuel AME. Witnesses say he asks for the reverend and sits for an hour. The historic black church is welcome to anyone. Take a look. These are new pictures obtained by Mashable from inside that Bible study moments before police say Roof gets up and starts firing. This was recorded by 26-year-old Tywanza Sanders, who was sitting at the table and did not survive the shooting.
Advising of the active shooter, multiple people down.
The families of the few survivors sharing their frightening story with David Muir.
She played dead in order to, survive, in order to get him not to shoot her. Yeah.
And she told her granddaughter to play dead too?
Play dead, yes. Her son was also supposed to play dead, but he wanted to check on my cousin, the Reverend Clemente Pinckney. And when he got up, that's when the gunman questioned him and started, saying, y'all rape our women, and y'all have taken over the country. And I have to do what I have to do.
Glamour and glory for all that 5 minutes will give you. Is it a threat? Absolutely not. But somebody has to step up in front of the camera and say, enough is enough. Tearing up Clay County, that's not going to be acceptable. And if we can't handle you, you know what I'll do? I'll exercise the power and authority as a sheriff, and I'll make special deputies of every lawful gun owner in this county. And I'll deputize them for this one purpose, to stand in the gap between lawlessness and civility. That's what we're sworn to do, and that's what we're going to do.
Okay, so since we saw a little thing, you saw something from the sheriff, and he spoke also about what I spoke about previously at the beginning of the video about deputizing normal citizens, or what one would call a normal citizen, and to do take action on what one's order may be. So this is something really to pay attention to. I've saw even people from what I would call the hood, from our neighborhoods and from different neighborhoods out there in the wildness of the streets, and I saw people even taking violent actions with guns, shoot 'em up, bang bang kind of stuff. And I've saw many times them never being arrested when everybody knew what they may have done, but they are not held accountable, or they may have gotten brought down to the station with all the neighbors telling and everything, and these people seem to walk free. And a lot of times, it can be scary for a lot of people out there, even myself at the time. I mean, hey, I just got to be truthful. It can make a person nervous. It's like, how is these people surviving? I saw other people, play the gangster role, and I turn around and see them in the jury booth, not the jury booth. I see them in the courtroom on the witness stand, speaking about and admitting that they committed the murder, and they admitted they did so many things, but never having to be held accountable for their actions. So even the gangster, of today, and I'm sure the gangsters of yesterday's and the past days may have been associating in these Pelosi commentators groups, and having that somebody that backing, somebody backing the people up, and allowing them to do a work, even allowing them to help destroy their own people. So the people that are in the Pelosi commentators group are not necessarily people of another color, or just the Caucasian group. There are many people that are involved in these particular groups, and they're very, very dangerous because they're working with the enemy. So do your homework, find out if I'm on target, if I'm not, shoot me something. You can find me in many places. You can find me on YouTube, Domestic Violence with the Counsel, Mr. James Horton. All right? So I look forward to seeing you guys again, and I'm going to keep digging, and I'm going to keep paying attention so I can bring it back to you. All right? Thank you for attending my